Howdy, and welcome to USA Speedway, known as Lakeland, a little bit here on iRacing. My name is Justin. I am the owner of Team 53. I have partnered with Coach Dave Academy to bring you some of these rookie instructional guides. So today we're going to be looking at the street stock at USA. This track, when I joined iRacing about 12 years ago, it was pretty much street stocks went to Big Charlotte and USA, and they rotated every other week. We didn't really run anywhere else in the rookie street stock series. So, we got a bunch of laps here. It's been a long time since I've run this car, at least this setup for a while. So. I threw down a couple laps here. We'll take a look. The biggest thing for these videos, right, is that I'm going to give you some tips and tools in how to drive this track that you're going to be able to bring to pretty much any car that you run here. Some of these general philosophies will help, and hopefully what this does is it helps you to kind of get up to speed a little bit, so that you can kind of learn what you're doing a little bit better. So first things first, depending on the weather, the time of day that you're running this track on, it might be, a second faster, it might be a second slower. Track temperature is huge in iRacing just as it is in real life. If it's 120 degrees, you're going to be slower, it's going to be looser. So one of the things that we can check out is our info tab here. Will tell us our track temperature, and this will change throughout your session. So, sometimes if you're in like a 2-hour practice session, it'll be drastically different than when you started. And that's something where, if something just doesn't feel right when you're testing, you can kind of come in here and look. The iRacing weather tab is pretty much, it tells you a little bit of what the track weather is going to be like, but it doesn't really do too much here on the oval side. One thing that I did change here in the setup, it is a fixed race. So really about all you can change is your steering ratio, your steering offset, and your brake bias, your brake balance bar. I prefer an 8-to-1 steering wheel on short tracks. Basically, an 8-to-1 steering wheel, and if you've watched any of the other videos, I probably have explained this as well. 8-to-1 is for every 8 degrees of steering wheel rotation, your tires are moving 1 degree. So if you have an 8 degree, you don't have to move the wheel as far as what you do with a 12 or a 16-to-1, but then it also means that things are happening a lot faster. So if you're brand new to iRacing, an 8-to-1 might not be for you. I prefer a +4 steering offset. What I have found is that then I don't have to turn my steering wheel quite as far when I go into the corner. So basically, the way the offset works is normally you have your steering wheel straight up and down, right? 0, straight up and down. That piece of tape at the top is straight up and down. You go to +4, it's going to move it a little bit to the right for me. And then if you go to -4, it would move it to the left. So basically, it just changes the orientation of where you have your steering wheel started. Doesn't really do anything else. Brake balance bar, so if you go to a bigger percentage, which we're at the max, this is going to be as tight as you can possibly be on entry. It will make the car, it'll keep the rear end underneath you. If you make this number more negative, right, this is going to make the car looser. So this tool, brake balance bar, is a great tool in a lot of cars that have a brake bias adjuster throughout the run. You can start it out to where you're comfortable. And then as the car tightens up, you can just take some out with a button in the sim to make you feel a little bit better. Other than that, you really can't change anything, so there's no sense really worth looking at that. Let's hop in here and let's do our lap. So one of the biggest things here on iRacing is tire heating. It's super, super important. So you'll see guys, especially if you're in practice sessions, you'll see kind of top iRating guys. They'll go off in their own room, and this is what they're doing, is they're tire heating to get the tires warmed up. And then they're going to go out. We're going to make lap 2 our fast lap on this one. So we're going to go high here in 3 and 4 just to get some heat in the tires, get a little bit of a run. And then we're going to come down. We're going to make lap 1 look like we're going to start to run a lap. But you can see as I go under braking there, the car just doesn't feel like it's underneath me. Start to feel a little bit of a slide there on exit. So I bail on this lap. And I say lap 2 is my money lap. So we go high again to wind up and get a good run. What this is going to do is it's going to allow us to maximize the distance from the end of the corner to the start finish line so we can have maximum speed by the time we get there. So we grab this max speed. We check our speed at the start finish line, 106. And now we're going to go into this lap breakdown, right? So you can see right here, the car is kind of wobbly on these straightaways. And that's just the way it is at USA. But now we're going to start to turn in now. You can see because my wheel went from being over here to the right to being down a little bit. So we're going to start to turn in. You can also see the car start to point. We're going to lift just before this stoplight. The best thing that I would tell you if you're watching your videos to see how well you're doing would be kind of this speaker system here. So we're going to lift. We're going to apply some brake. And notice how really, like I did my pre-turn in and now I'm braking in a straight line. So this car is going straight. We're going to aim for the bottom. Our goal is going to be to get into this corner, to get the right sides below the painted dashed lines and just hug the left sides as close as we can to this yellow paint for the apron. So we're going to bring it in. We'll cross over this first one. And now remember, we're floating it now. We're just letting this car rotate. I've had people in the past that I've worked with, I do a ton of driver coaching, and they told me, I watched this guy on YouTube and he told me that I always have to be doing something with my feet. No, you don't. Just let it rotate. Let it roll. Now we're going to start to feed a little bit of throttle just to kind of set that nose. And now about mid-corner, so about the point where the track kind of intersects, I usually tell people at USA, right, this painted line, there's this first set of rubber, right? So we go into the corner, and there's all the rubber in the corner, and then you come through, and there's this section where people didn't touch the apron when they scan this, right? So they don't have that artwork. It's not as dark, so it's lighter. By the time you get back into this second batch of darker here coming off the corner exit, that's where you want to throttle up. Every time. Any car you run is pretty much the rule. So now we're going to just drive off. This is a qualifying lap. We don't care about what our tires do over 40 laps. All we care about is going fast for one lap. So we're going fast for our one lap. As we get towards the exit of the corner, you can see me starting to unwind the wheel. I know where this car is going to go, and I trust where it's going to go. A lot of times I'll see guys, especially if they come from console sims or console racing games, they'll have this wheel turned way over here to the left at 10 o'clock the entire way exit, and they'll come out and there'll be 2 lanes off the wall, and then they got to turn to the right to get up to the wall. No, you should have confidence and know where it's going to go. We're going to carry it up here to the wall. We're just going to kind of ride. And then as we head towards turn 3, you can see I'm starting to drift my line a little bit closer to the wall. We don't actually touch it there. As you can see, we have no incidents. So we get nice and close to the wall, and then here where this wall separates, this is really our turn-in point, is where that comes in. We're going to lift just past that, use some brake to get here into turn 3. And then the same principle, we just want to hug those left side tires as close as we can to that yellow line through the corner. And we're throttling up. And now we're going to go full throttle. Basically, the rule at USA for full throttle is once you kind of start to get into here, this is where you can start to think about going to max throttle for corner exit. And that's what we do. Grab our corner exit, and then we just drive it off. Again, unwinding the wheel as we come off the corner, and we get a great lap, 22.760. I'm going to go load up an AI race. I'm going to show you guys how to pass, and then, yeah, we'll be good. Hold on 1 second. All right, we're back. We're doing an AI race. I just parked the car on the track so that way I could go over this stuff with you guys. But basically, I'm the 53 car. I'm starting in 5th. This is an initial start. I started in 2nd gear for this initial start of the race. So 2x2 start, rolling start. You guys will do 2 laps under pacing. So first lap, when you're on the bottom, it's pretty I mean, the biggest thing that you have to worry about is just getting run over from this car behind, and then this guy here deciding he wants to drop down. Those are really the only things that you necessarily need to worry about. Um, Anything other than that, I think is, you just, like I said, car behind and then the car on top. So we do this initial start. You can see there, I don't get the best start in the world, but I don't panic. I just drive my line. The '08 car I knew was not going to be clear going into one, so we just let him not. And then this 12 car stayed up there as an AI. Normally in a real race, I feel like this guy would have come down and I would have had to watch that, but I took advantage of it. So just drive it in like I normally do. You're going to wait a little bit longer knowing that there's a car on top. You have to stay down a lane on exit. So that was pretty easy because we still weren't full speed. Going here into turn 3, there's a little situation here that had to be made, right? I knew that this guy was going to go high. In a real rookie race, you probably would assume that this guy is going to come down and you're going to lift a little bit early. So we're going to drive down here into turn 1. We'll drive down the straightaway. I know I'm clear, and now it's just a matter of driving this guy down. And I can tell I can drive way deeper into the corner than this guy can. So I know it's not going to take long, but I'm just going to be patient, right? We're going to get in line, tuck in line, and we're going to just throw it in here knowing that he's going to stay high. He's showing me a lane. Normally this guy would come back down and you just kind of have to ride behind him until you can get enough of your car underneath him down the straightaway to get by him. We go through 3 and 4. Down the front stretch. And it's just like that. So now you notice how when I went into 1 here, I went in a little bit higher. And that's because I assumed, like in a normal race, that this guy was going to come in and he was going to try and pass me back. He had pretty good momentum, but he was really too far back. So I left him a little bit of room. And that's something too in iRacing, like you really have to think about is like, how important is it for me to defend this position right now? Do I need to? Early in a race, a 25, 30 lap race, you probably don't need to defend super hard. You can kind of afford to let guys go, especially if you're just racing for safety rating. That's really kind of the big thing is the risk versus reward. My goal is to get out of rookies. My goal isn't to win these races in rookies. So, I think that's kind of what can separate people a little bit are those that are racing for safety rating versus those who are racing to win. And those that are usually racing to win usually end up spending a little bit more time in rookies than those who are just racing for safety rating. So the biggest things here at USA, like I said, is to be patient. Your best passing points are going into 1 and going into 3. But as you saw, I set it up coming off a 2 where I had the line. I knew I wasn't at his bumper, so I got right behind him, and then I had my right entry going into turn 3 to where I could just drive right underneath him and pass him. So I hope this video kind of helps you understand USA a little bit to kind of know how to run the track a little bit better. Your race laps are going to look very similar to your qual laps in terms of feel. It's just going to be, more of them. So best of luck, and if you need anything, I'm available in the Coach Dave Discord. Thanks.